My name's Jeff Dinsdale. I'm from Quesnel. I've lived here for a long time. And one of my big interests, I'm very interested in the history of how sled dogs have been used throughout North America, particularly in Canada, and specifically here in my community of Quesnel. In the early 1920s, what we call the Hudson's Bay building in town, it was originally a Hudson's Bay depot. It actually became the post office, and there's a well-known picture of the dog team that obviously had just arrived from the north, and it's strung out in front of the post office or the Hudson's Bay building, and that was how mail was delivered both north and south in the 20s. There wasn't a lot of use of sled dogs in this area, however. After the highway was built from Quesnel to Prince George, so any involvement with sled dogs in the area would be minimal, and possibly there were some individuals that might have used sled dogs or small dog teams, but there wasn't a strong tradition until the mid-1970s. The late 70s, a sled dog race was developed which ran at Troll Resort. And this was an interesting event. It was supported by the local Lions Club. They were very involved in doing all of the work in putting in the trail. There was a lot of support by the owner of Troll, Lars Fosberg, who even allowed for the use of his packer or groomer to put the trail in, and the trail ran along Highway 26 down to the Beaver Pass Road, the 2400 road, then down the 2400 road. A big loop was made in what's called 4 Mile Lake at the 4 mile mark on that road, and then the trail returned back to Troll. The dignitaries from Wells were very supportive, and it was agreed that the dog teams were going to arrive on Jack of Clubs Lake. Banners were set up, everybody was there, the crowds were there, but the dog teams never did show up on Jack of Clubs Lake. They got lost, and they didn't just get lost together, they got lost all over the place. And so when the dog teams started straggling into Wells and Barkerville and other locations east of Quesnel, no one really knew where anyone else was. And there was a bit of anticipation, wondering just where the next dog team was going to show up. Eventually they all did get to Wells. There was no major mishaps, no injuries, nobody was lost for days at a time. And we considered the event to be a real success, but I'm sure the folks that were all lined up on Jack of Clubs Lake waiting for the dog teams to arrive were a little bit disappointed. So this was in the mid-1980s. And the interest in sled dogs continued to grow, but there weren't any scheduled or planned events in this community until a very special year for Quesnel, 1993. And that marked the beginning of what has become known as the Gold Rush Trail Sled Dog Mail Run.